The Get Down is brought to you by Digital Music Pool. Digital Music Pool is the ultimate record pool for professional DJs looking for the hottest tracks and exclusive hits updated daily in an easy-to-use platform. You can find exclusive edits from myself, Cream, Adam B., Andrew Marks, Angelo the Kid, Armin Averu, Chumpian, Dan FX, Castra, Pat C, and Samus J only on DMP, and we're giving you a chance to try their service for just $9.99 for the first month. All you have to do is click the link in the show notes or on the Get Down or Cream Instagram pages, create an account, and enter the promo code CREAM at checkout for your discounted month. DMP is my go-to record pool for new and exclusive music to play in my sets, so become a member for just $9.99 for the first month with the code CREAM and check it out for yourself. Click the link in the show notes or on the Get Down or Cream Instagram pages to sign up now. You will not be disappointed. If you love listening to the Get Down, you will love the video version of our show on YouTube even more. With all new audio and video upgrades, we've taken the show to the next level. On YouTube, you get to see our facial expressions, hand gestures, and real passion we have for this industry and for helping you grow your DJ business. Click the link in the show notes or on the Get Down Instagram page to watch the podcast now or search Get Down DJs on YouTube. We would greatly appreciate if you subscribe to our channel, like, and comment any questions you might have that we could bring up on the show. All right, what's up, guys? Welcome to the 129th episode of The Get Down, presented by Digital Music Pool. My name's Cream.
GaryW here.
Gary, I want to start this episode with a quote that I heard. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I listen to the Tim Ferriss podcast. It's sort of like a business entrepreneur. It's sort of like Rogan, but I don't know, a little more professional.
He's a little more business forward.
Yeah, a little more business.
I think he deals with a lot more guests that head businesses, that are entrepreneurs or, big corporation.
So the quote is, don't expect a standing ovation. Give yourself one when you need it. And I love that quote so much because sometimes we do need to give ourselves a little standing ovation. We just need it. It's to keep ourselves confident and moving forward in the right place mentally. And I sort of gave myself one over the weekend, and I was listening to this podcast on my flight back from Charleston, and I was like, wow, this is really fitting. I want to talk about this on the show. The first time I played Trio, I had a couple flight cancellations and a delay, and I literally ended up getting picked up from the airport and went straight to the DJ booth with my luggage. I was late for my set start time, and the set just wasn't that good. It wasn't my best foot forward, and so since that last time that I was there, I've had this, this chip on my shoulder and this thing man, are you good enough to really go rock and crush that room? And I played there Saturday and I left there feeling so confident and, confident in my ability to be able to play literally any room in the country. And, we all want to say that we feel that way, but until you do it and you really, really feel that way, I don't know if you can say it. So I had to give myself a little pat on the back this weekend and just a little you're good enough to be here. You're good enough to play any room and let's go do it.
You've now had a string of bigger venues that you've been playing lately. And I think Trio just kind of falls in line with the rooms that you've been playing recently. I think back when you had those flight complications, that was a while ago now. I don't think that you were playing as many travel gigs and as many big rooms as you are currently. So I think it was easier to get discouraged back then because it was well, this is my one opportunity. I need to make the most of it. And then that opportunity kind of squandered, not because of anything that you did, but just because of complications in travel. I mean, and this is where we all need to learn when we're traveling to build in those days and build in those extra hours because you just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, that was just like rookie travel mistakes for sure.
But like I said, you weren't consistently traveling and you weren't consistently playing these bigger travel gigs in these bigger rooms. So I feel like when that opportunity kind of got away a little bit, that you still went there and played. And obviously, you're not going to play your best set when you're walking into a DJ booth right from the airport. It's just not going to happen.
It was gross. I literally changed in the airport bathroom into like what I would go wear to DJ.
Right, you're like washing yourself at the sink. It's just like it's nothing that you really want to be doing, and it's not setting yourself up for success. So, I think having done more of these things recently, and I mean, we're talking about like back to back weeks here that you've been playing in a different city. So I think there's a better stronghold on your travel DJ career, and you should give yourself a pat on the back because it's a huge step in DJ Cream the artists, as a DJ than where you were years ago when you were trying to do that. So this is probably the best time for you to pat yourself on the back and give yourself a standing ovation because these are huge milestones here in your DJ career. So
we talked on Sunday on the phone, and you were like, Cream, something popped up in like my memories from like 5 years ago, and it was a Get Down DJ group rundown. We used to put out rundowns every week before we had like 30 gigs in a Friday and Saturday night. And I was playing this place called Tilted Kilt, which is just like some shitty bar in the middle of nowhere in not any of the main cities that we have DJs here in Jersey. And that was only 5 years ago. It's kind of crazy.
We were all playing there, like in our mid 30s, playing at like this chain restaurant bar on like a Friday night. Like because we were just trying to fill a schedule out because
it was just a filler.
Which we're going to come on to another topic regarding this. But we did all these filling gigs because you just wanted to work. You just wanted to make money.
I had to make money too. When you go all in on this career as a lifestyle, you're sort of forced to make decisions based on money many times. And, that can hurt you from becoming an artist perspective a little bit.
It could, right? And we've had that conversation time and again. We don't have to rehash that whole thing because we do talk about that often. But my thought was initially when I saw that, I'm like, if I showed some of our younger DJs who they're like DJing for a year and they're like, I want to play the biggest nightclub venue in North Jersey, and they're asking to go do that. I'm like, well, they're not so long ago, you and I were also still just playing the local bar,
for sure.
And I'm not saying like when I was 29. I'm like when I was like 34 years old. It was not that long ago. And I just sometimes think that it was such a gut check to me when I saw that flyer. I was like, this is great. Like it was crazy the types of places that Get Down DJ Group were booking. Number one. But it was the infancy of our company, so we were just trying to gain as many venues as possible at that point.
Get Down was probably like the first year of Get Down, maybe, or the second.
Yeah, it was a pretty eye-opening experience. I was like flicking back in photos. I was looking for a specific picture. I was looking for a picture of 626 from the first year that we played there because I wanted to post the earliest picture I could find for the weekend because I performed with a bunch of the drag queens that we started there with. So I was like, all right, let me go find this. And then I came across that flyer. I was like, geez. Like there was just some, I was shocked that you even played there, to be honest with you. But it's kind of funny how perspective does change over time and how you can grow. Even though that was 5 years ago, I still feel like that's exponential growth in that period of time. Crazy amounts of growth. Like take a picture of that gig and then take a picture of where you were on Saturday at Trio, and it's like night and day.
Yeah. It's just funny. It puts everything in perspective a little bit, You
forget.
Yeah, you do really forget because when things are going well, you don't realize how recently you were just scrapping to just get any gigs and make money and be a DJ, right?
Right. And it's gotten to the point where you you can safely turn down like a Sunday gig if you don't really feel like doing it, right? Whereas like back then, when you're looking at that schedule, you're going back then, obviously you had to work.
Right.
You know. But you grow and things change for sure.
I think this is a good way to transition into our next topic, because for a long time, I quit my day job to go all in on this DJ thing, and I was really proud of that. And for a long time, I was kind of in the camp of telling a lot of DJs that they should do the same thing, because going all in, you're betting on yourself and you're investing in yourself and you're really trying to do this thing. But as I've gotten older and have been doing this longer, I almost want to take that back and say, you shouldn't quit your day job until you are really, really, really ready to do so, both financially and from a booking perspective of the types of venues you're playing, and what your goals are,
I had this thought a couple days ago now, and I'm thinking about Gary V, and I'm thinking about a Tim Ferriss, and I'm thinking about all of these guys who promote entrepreneurism and being your own boss and making it look very sexy, when we all know that working for yourself is a very lonely place. It's very difficult. It's hard, and you have to be disciplined. And I feel like it's gotten over glamorized. And I think Gary Vee would be the first person to say that it has gotten over glamorized. And it's become the sexy thing to do, but not everybody's really cut out for it, And I felt like, I don't know. I just felt like there needs to be kind of it's not for everybody. Sure, it's great to go work for yourself 1,000%. It's great to follow your passion, and you should do that. But you should do it when you're mentally ready for it. You should do it when you're financially ready for it. You should do it when you have a support system built in place that just in case something happens, you have a fallback. Because I think I was stuck in a situation where I wasn't gigging as much, and then it became a very scary place, and had to go get a part-time job that was garbage money. It was something else that I loved, but it was absolute garbage money because there was a series of life situations that happened that weren't what I had planned out to happen.
Right.
And I think before you make the leap, it's always think about what is the worst situation that can happen and then plan accordingly from there. Because nobody could have predicted COVID, right?
Right.
And then COVID happened, and then something else happened in my life that all of a sudden I'm paying my mortgage by myself with no job. And it's a crazy thing to think about. So what's the B, C, and D plan?
Yeah, you've always had side hustles. You were a teacher, a coach, the AD for your school, and also DJ. That's 4 jobs. I'm DJ Cream, Get Down, Hoboken Hospitality Entertainment Director, and I work for Digital Music Pool. So 4 jobs. I'm not just a DJ. I think at this point, Gary V, he's still flipping shit from garage sales. This guy's a multi-millionaire, and still
right.
He just has that hustler mentality. And maybe it's just for content because, that's a big part of what he does. But guys, we all need side hustles, right? You have to hedge your bets. It's great to go all in as a DJ and believe in yourself. But if COVID didn't teach you guys something of having multiple streams of income, then you guys were lost.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to have multiple streams of income. And maybe that second stream is something really small, but maybe it's something that you really like to do. And it's something that could grow into a larger stream of income. But it's really hard to just be a DJ.
Yeah.
Unless you're at the top, I think. I don't know. Or you have so many relationships and residencies that if you lose one residency, you're okay,
I think about like the numbers of like what can you like I'll go up and play 7 gigs in a weekend, right? And like because I'm trying to max out money and like trying to think like for the guys that like don't have the accessibility to 7 gigs in a weekend that are maybe only gigging 3 or 4 times a weekend, like is that enough money to make for the month? Like if you're doing 4 gigs a weekend all month long, like is that enough? Like I'm just thinking about like how much rent is, especially in the Northeast where we're located out of. How much insurance is for car insurance and how much car payments are now. And just, it's staggering how expensive it is to just live day to day. Staggering. So to not have something else going on when you're only working Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, like you have so much other time to try to make a little bit more money to be comfortable.
Right. There's so many ways to come up with a little side hustle, or even if it's a part-time job, figure out something that is complementary to your DJ sets where you can go work. Maybe it's driving Uber. There's a million things. You have a lot of connections with restaurants and bars.
Yeah.
Maybe you bartend. Maybe you are a server. Maybe you're a bar back. Like, think about the places where you have the connections and try to use those connections first. If you don't have some other idea, like Amazon reseller, there's a million ways to figure out how to create a little side hustle.
I want guys and girls to remember that, like, it's not this. It might hurt your pride a little bit initially, right? Because I feel like when I went to my part-time job and like initially I'm like, oh, I failed as a business owner, I failed as a DJ, but that's not really the case, right? It's not the case. You just kind of have to pick it up somewhere else in life to make sure that you can keep the dream going in your passion project and the passionate portion of what you're doing.
You're doing what you got to do.
Right. Oh, you know what? And like I said, your pride will hurt for a little bit, but suck it up and be proud that you taking the steps in the right direction to do the right thing to help yourself out. I feel like that's the one thing that I kind of get pissed off about with social media, because things have gotten so glamorized,
no matter what.
Like you got to just suck it up and do what you got to do for yourself. It doesn't matter what other people think about you. You got to do what's right for you. Yeah. And that I feel like sometimes we do live in a society where people do worry about what other people think constantly. That's why you have that constant validation of social media, right? But it was the guy who made that quote that you said at the beginning of the show here was like a monk of some sort. And if you guys go listen to that Tim Ferriss episode, because it had so much to do with this just self-introspection and being happy with yourself and being able to do things for yourself in order to be successful long-term, mentally and physically. And I just think that that's gotten lost too, just being able to having self-validation,
I'm just trying to go find the exact show that it was.
It was like 5 or 6 episodes back. Jim.
Yeah, it was Jack Cornfield, episode 684. How to reduce anxiety and polish the lens of consciousness.
It was good.
It's not super highbrow, guys. You could definitely go listen to it. I think you'll enjoy. But Gary, something else. It's okay that if you do want to try to go all in with the DJ thing, and if you do want to become an artist or you do want to make music, you have to use that time. You can't use that time to sleep or go out and party or, watch Netflix or play video games or whatever the time sucks that are happening in your life. Use that time to double down on your business, whether that is networking, whether that is making music or creating content. Like, what's the point of quitting your job if you're not using that time to go and then spend the time on your brand and your business? That's a big disconnect for me as well.
I think because people look at that portion of it, because it's not the actual DJing portion of it, that they look at that as work. Well, it is work.
Right.
This is what you're doing.
Instead of going to the office, you're now doing all this other stuff. Like, it's not free time now.
Right.
If you want to be successful.
Not everybody wants to hear that portion of it, because hour it takes to set up your camera and your light ring and your microphone and this and that and the other thing and then your DJ equipment. Then you got to break it all down because you don't have a dedicated space for it. And then the time that goes into making that content, like sure, you're not getting dollars out of it right away, but long term you will, just for relevancy.
It's helping getting your name out there and getting people to consume your content, whatever it may be. And it takes time, but
I got a question for you. Did you just like make up like little hustles when you were like, 8, 9, 10, 11 years old?
I mean,
like
I was hustling out of the womb out here.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if we've ever had this conversation online here. That's why. I remember being like 9 years old and being like, I'm going to set up an iced tea stand on the corner. I lived
100%
on a major,
did that as well. Lemonade or whatever we did.
Right. Lived on a major intersection. So like just popped up in summertime.
I used to rake leaves. I used to knock on doors and shovel people's driveways and walkways for snow. In 6th grade, I was suspended for a gambling ring. My dad used to do those like NFL tickets on Sundays where you would like give $10 and pick 4 teams against the spread. And I literally just tried to make the same thing in school. I'm like, oh, this is fine. Why can't we do this? Somebody ratted me out. I sold baseball cards and basketball cards. I sold Pogs.
Pogs, yes. My uncle was a professor at Stevens. Yeah. And he was in the machine department. And he'd make me breakers.
Nice.
He'd make me breakers. He'd give me like 10 at a time. I'd sell them for like $10 a piece. Yeah. If anybody doesn't know what Pogs are, look it up. Google it.
And then what else? I mean, my mixtape that's what got me into music was the mixtape thing. I was really into hip hop, and I would go listen to all the mixtapes and create my own. I started selling them in the hallway in like 8th grade, or I think it was 8th grade, somewhere around that time.
Yeah, that's when I started my first DJ GaryW mixtapes, or all like house mixtapes, because like to get house music back in the day, like you went and bought vinyl. There wasn't a ton of ways to get it back in like the 90s that I can remember. So like I guess 1997 this was. I would go and grab all my favorite house records and put them on a mixtape, obviously. And then I had my buddy Chad. He would like hustle them out of his locker, and I'd give him like $2.
Wait, is his name really Chad?
Yeah, Chad. Right. And I think I'd give him $2 a tape, and I'd take $3 a tape. And I mean, we made like little cover art for it. And it was ridiculous. But yeah, that was like my first. That would like buy you school lunch, so that the $5 your mom gave you for school lunch, you could like save away or use on music or whatever. Well, so I would put all of my lunch money away, and on Friday I'd take the number 2 bus, the local, up to Bergen Line Avenue. I'd walk the 12 blocks to the record store.
Both ways uphill in the snow.
No, it was always nice. I wouldn't go up there in a bad day. And then I'd walk back with my records, and I'd leave myself $5, and there was a little green cab that would run off of 30th Street in Union City, and that would get me home. The poor cab driver knew he wasn't getting tipped from the 13-year-old kid with the records.
Yeah. I don't know. I think you and I had a certain mind state from just the way we grew up, right? I mean, I think that's a big part of how we've always, even to this day, where we have successful businesses, like where we're not worried about paying rent, we're more comfortable. I still have that mind state of like, what's the next hustle? How do we turn this into, a way we could make money, or, how can I increase my rates? Like, I'm always thinking that way. And I think that's just from growing up, like my mom being like, well, we don't have the money to do that today, or we can't buy you the designer jeans that you want, or I can only give you $5 for lunch instead of 10, or whatever it was. It's like just instilled in my brain that like, I got to do more, or I got to go make money. I got to have a side hustle.
I never liked being told no growing up.
Yeah.
Never liked it. Like my mom was like we always wanted to go to Disney when we were young. Right. And we just were too poor. You just couldn't afford it. Yeah. And there's too many of us.
Yeah.
Right?
You got a crew over there.
It was like 7 of us. So it was really difficult. And we wound up not going until like I was like 13, 14 years old. By that point, I was like over it. Like, you know what I mean? But like, I was always like, well, I don't ever want to be told no again, and I want to work my ass off to that I can go and do whatever the hell I want. You know, whether that is selling whatever, you know, I don't know. I had like a million different side hustles, illegal and legal, you know, so wild.
My teacher parents weren't too happy about that suspension in middle school.
Yeah, that's not going to fly.
That's funny.
But yeah, I mean, but like I said, but not everybody. So that the point I asked, the reason why I asked you that question was because not everybody grows up with that hunger to and that need to get out there and make money, you know, by any means necessary. You know, not everybody's like that. And you have to
talked about it last episode where it's a generational thing as well, you know, and the new generation differs a little from previous generations in their focus on, you know, mental health and wellness and just being happier and not being in that, like, in the rat race of constantly trying to make more money.
I love that. I love that they are coming up in that way for sure, but you still have to protect yourself financially at the end of the day.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and happiness is 1,000% very, very, very important. But sometimes you got to be miserable just to make a couple bucks and to get by and to figure out what the next step is.
Yeah.
So
I think for me, the ultimate goal is to never do something that I don't want to do. Never have a job I don't want to do. Never take a booking I don't want to do. That to me is like the ultimate freedom, you know? And I'm close, but there's still some things that I do because I have to do it. We won't throw that out into the world, but
I've limited that as much as possible. And that's why I go take a golf job for, you know, just a couple bucks an hour because that's another passion, right? Like I'd rather go show up there than go and do a wedding. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, you know, it's a give and a take. You have to just figure out what's right for you.
All right, guys, I think just kind of to wrap this up, I mean, everyone's different, right? Everyone's situation is different. And you just got to really think about, like, what's the best thing for you? And if the best thing for you is going all in on DJing, do it. You know, use your time wisely and go all in. Spend the time to grow your business and your brand and music and all that stuff. If it's not cutting it, if you tried it and you need to go get a job, there's nothing wrong with that. Like right. Me and Gary, like we've just talked about, you know, we've all had multiple jobs at the same time. It's okay, you know? And, you know, maybe you want to go back and get that full-time job, and the DJ thing is a side hustle again until you get it to a point where it can be a full-time thing. Like, just really sit down and think about where you are, where you want to go, and make a decision based on that.
Yeah. Agreed.
All right, so let's get into a news topic. I know, you know, back this early in the summer, we heard that Pioneer was buying Serato. And, you know, we never really talked about it on the show. I think we can get into it here. But more recently, the company that owns Denon, Newmark, and Rain in music is now trying to stop the sale, saying that Pioneer's now going to basically have a monopoly on this whole industry. And you and I were talking about it off air, but what are your thoughts? I mean, where do you see this going? And ideally, what do you think is the best scenario for DJs?
Well, I do. Two totally different questions. I think that I'm not sure how good this is for the competitive nature of the equipment world for DJs. Sure, you know, Serato will be absorbed, and then they will probably, in my opinion, try to monopolize this into like using it to get everybody on board with Rekordbox, right? I feel like Rekordbox is that's Pioneer's, I think, failing portion of their business, right? And how they're going to make that better is by absorbing Serato and kind of making a hybrid Rekordbox Serato situation, right?
Yeah.
Because Serato's the biggest player in the software game, and then Pioneer's the biggest hardware player.
If they want to keep DJs happy, I don't think they can get rid of Serato. I don't think that's something they can do. I think it'll just be called Pioneer, Serato, and you have Serato and Rekordbox, at least for a time.
They're gonna exist separately for a little bit, but I think over time it just becomes Rekordbox, and maybe it looks like Serato, but it's branded Rekordbox, and like I said, is a combination of both softwares to have the best features of both. That's probably the best case scenario for the DJ.
Right.
That's exactly what Pioneer's thinking. Because think about whenever we have like a hole in our business, right? It's like, well, how can we fill that void? Well, that's exactly what they're doing. They're filling that void by absorbing the best DJ software or the most commonly used DJ software that there is. I'm not saying that's the best. That's all relative into personal preference. I'm looking at it that way. Like that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah. I look at it like Pioneer has an ultimate chokehold on the hardware, right? Like Rain, Denon, and what's the other one? Newmark. Like, how many professional DJs actually use that stuff? I would say 10%.
Yeah, 15%. It's a small percentage.
And then the same thing on the software side. 90% of DJs are using Serato while they DJ if they're using computers. I mean, obviously the Rekordbox for DJs who are using USB sticks, but how many DJs are using computers with Rekordbox? Very, very, very few, I'm sure.
I don't know any.
I was listening to another podcast that they were talking about that particular DJ uses Rekordbox to DJ, and I was like, wow, that's the first person I've ever heard do that.
Interesting.
I don't remember who it was exactly, but yeah, so in my mind, I'm thinking like Pioneer looks at this like, hey, let's like you said, fill the void. We have this all-in-one amazing thing where now you could pull stems and you can do more things on the actual hardware, cue points on the actual hardware, like just more technical features that you would be able to incorporate into Pioneer gear while still, I don't know. Your point about the software is interesting. I'm not really sure what they would end up doing.
I just I just see it like from a business owner's perspective. I'd want to get away from that. You know, I'd want to make it mine, right? And if I'm absorbing this company, then I want to take that software and, like I said, take the best features and make it mine.
Right.
Put my mark on it. Sure, like the old heads will be like, all right, like Serato's going away, and like they'd be a little butthurt about it. But in time, it gets forgotten about. If you're putting out a premier product that's 1,000 times better than the thing that you bought, then everybody forgets about the thing that you bought, and you put a new name on it, and it's yours.
If the sale does go through, think about like loading USBs and being able to swap playlists between Rekordbox and Serato. That would be like the first thing that they'd have to figure out, right?
Yeah.
I just think there's a lot of really cool technical things that could be moved forward. Now, on the opposite side, if they own both and they're just owning the whole market, and like Denon and these other companies are kind of in the dark on new updates, does Pioneer feel the need to continue moving to the technology forward and putting out the best possible product? I would hope so, but I don't know. Without competition, they could do whatever they want.
Right. And you have to remember, because we've been around the block for so long and around Pioneer equipment for so long that I think that, and I feel like you came into the DJ game like a little later, where you had access to Pioneer stuff right from the Jump Street, right?
Yeah.
Where like, I know like when I was like 12 and 13 and 14, like I had Denon stuff and I had Newmark stuff because it was cheap.
Right.
Because that stuff was all accessible, right? People would like get rid of that stuff. Like, oh, I had used that for 2 years. Like, do you want this? And like, you'd get this hand-me-down. Like, nobody's giving up their CDJs. You know what I mean? And that's where I feel like that can't be forgotten about. That a lot of that stuff is the starter DJ.
Yeah, but now the controllers are the starter DJ. So like, who needs a Denon CDJ? You just buy a controller that has Pioneer and Serato, and then when you move on up, you buy the CDJs, and like that's it. If someone put a Rain controller or a Rain mixer in front of me, I would laugh at them and be like, "You think I'm DJing on this? There's no chance I'm DJing on this."
Yeah,
I hated those mixers when they were even semi-relevant. And to think if someone put that in front of me, I'd be like, dude, I'm not DJing on this.
I know Greg's probably going nuts right now, UFOso, because he still uses some Denon stuff, and he'll
Greg's a gear guy, though. He wants to try everything, and in trying everything, he gets a feel of what works, what's good, what's not good, and he likes doing that. That's great. But step foot in any bar or club that has DJ equipment, and you're not going to find one single Denon product anywhere.
No, you're not.
So that's why I think that if this does go through, like, not much, I think it's going to be for the better for DJs, to be quite honest, because who uses that other stuff anyway?
You think that's all perception, or you think
maybe I'm blinded?
Is...
I don't know.
That's what I'm saying.
Worked in a lot of places, Gary. I've never seen in the last 8 to 10 years. I haven't seen a single Rain, Denon, or name another product, Newmark product anywhere.
Yeah, like those companies were always in like the New York City Upper East Side bars, but they had, I'm talking like many, many years back now, because they had the double deck CD players would always be in all over those bars.
Yeah.
Like the 19-inch rack mount ones. But that was before Pioneer was even really the most relevant, before like this, the CDJ became the thing. And that was the thing that was everywhere. As professional DJing has become more popular, and post CDJ, Pioneer's just taken over everywhere.
Yeah.
Because pre CDJ, it was a lot of, techniques. Everybody was still using 1200s. And then the mixers all kind of, come and gone. But yeah, Pioneer since like 2001, 2000, they've just had a stronghold on everything at this point. So yeah, I don't know. I could see why they're trying to block the sale, because they can get...
because their business is going to die.
It can bury their business.
They have to try and block the sale, of course.
Yeah. It can bury their business if they just make that software specific.
Everything
to just
would
their
just
stuff.
be more integrated. Even like Beat Source and Tidal and whatever else that Serato is now integrating into their software. I just think, like, if it's integrated in the hardware and the software, it's just a better experience for DJs. So
does that stagnate? Does that stagnate like the growth of the technology moving forward, though? Like, if there's no competition to at least try to create something,
I don't think so, because
that's better.
Pioneer's going to want to create new products that they can upsell. They want to create the newer version of the CDJ 3000 so that all the DJs that are gearheads and all the venues have to have the newest shit.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think it's going to stagnate the growth.
Okay.
I think it's going to integrate everything better.
That's the optimistic side.
Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. But like, at the end of the day, if CDJ 3000s were what we had to use for the next 10 years, would anybody be upset? Because I wouldn't. I mean,
no, you wouldn't be. But I don't know.
All right, let's talk music for a little bit.
Okay.
I've been heavily listening to hip hop albums while I've been working out lately. And it's mainly because I just missed hip hop, and I wanted to really dive in a little further rather than just having this like outsider DJ perspective of, well, nobody's making anything for the clubs, or all the music is too slow for the clubs, or a lot of the music, not all the music. So I've been listening to, the Gunna album, the Young Thug album, the Travis album. Alchemist and Larry June just put out like a mini album, which is more underground, but more in line with the hip hop that I was into in growing up. There is a lot of hip hop that is coming out. There's some stuff that we as DJs can play in the club. But what I've really noticed is the way that DJs are now able to play a lot of this new hip hop music is by playing Jersey Club versions of those tracks. You're seeing it more and more and more on the record pools. You're seeing the Travis Scott Jersey Club. You're seeing the Gunna Jersey Club. You're seeing the whatever Jersey Club. And it's just a better fit for nightlife, The 70 to 75 BPM people can move to. It's or whatever, 150, 140, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
It's just more danceable and more relatable to people out in nightlife.
well, before we get into the remixing, the Jersey Club remixes of it. Like, talk about some of those albums. Like what's coming off of those albums that you like? Is it production? Is it lyrical?
There are tracks on all of those albums that I just mentioned that I like, that I'll listen to in my car just because I enjoy it. Production is great on most of those albums. Really high-end artists, you're getting high-end production, and you're getting a sprinkling of tracks that you could use in the club. There's probably, the one Gunna track. There's probably 2 Young Thug tracks you could play, 2 Travis Scott tracks you could play. You're getting some stuff for nightlife.
If it's not the popular track off of the album, and like call it a B-side, if you will, like, are you getting away with playing B-side, the B-side?
Well, I'm not playing a lot of rooms where I'm playing hip hop at all right now. So
right.
I'm playing the bottle service, big, mostly not EDM-y clubs where
right.
I can squeeze in the Gonna Fuck You Mean. I could squeeze in Travis Scott Fiend, or a Jersey Club or EDM version of one of those. People know those songs. I think Fuck You Mean is the biggest hip hop song that I can remember personally,
right.
or that I am amped up to play and see a reaction.
I mean, the Jersey Club movement we've talked about now for what? It's been going on for like big time, for like a year?
Probably.
Ish. 8 months to a year.
I'm seeing more and more of it on the record pools, which is a sign for me,
We know it and love it for a long while, right? But it's become the more popular genre, like I said, within the last 8 months.
I play it every single set that I DJ, no matter what city I'm in, and it works.
I've been playing a hell of a lot of it too, and which is kind of shocking because I never really got down into the Jersey Club stuff within the last 5 years. But yeah, I mean, it's what you have to play right now. So I definitely was playing a lot of it over the weekend, and it is what's garnering the biggest reactions of the night. I mean, the energy's just there.
Yeah.
And when you're coming out of it, it almost becomes difficult to come out of because there is such a letdown in energy.
What's cool about it too is people can't go to Spotify and listen to most of these songs.
Yeah.
So when you play it, it's something they haven't heard before. And I think that is also another layer of excitement from customers. It's like, what is this? I never heard this before. I don't know what this is, in a time where they know what everything is because they have access to a lot of it.
Yeah. Yeah. It kind of reminds me, I found myself in a situation over the weekend talking about like playing things that like aren't on Spotify.
Yeah.
That I like went into my set with like this, like, all right, I'm going to play like R&B all day on Sunday. I was like, I'm going to play a lot of R&B. I'm going to play classic R&B. I'm going to play really good, like, early 80s R&B stuff that influenced a lot of later music and current hip hop music. And I got like 45 minutes into my set. Somebody was like, oh, can you play like Bad Bunny? And I'm like, motherfucker. And it completely it threw my set for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Back to like pop stuff that people know. And it just like, I just don't understand like people going out wanting to hear the same shit that you can hear on Spotify. And you're right that like when you do play some of that Jersey Club stuff, it is exciting to the people, but is it exciting to enough of the people?
And it really depends what room you're in, I think. I'm talking for in a nightlife setting, like club style set. Am I going to go play like Jersey Club at like everywhere? I don't know. I guess it really depends. I've been playing it everywhere, no matter what. So I even have like more chill Jersey Club of like R&B tracks that I'll use in the early part of the night, or in a setting where I'm not going to play the Fiend Jersey Club remix. I'm going to play like the Bruno Mars one.
Yeah.
Or the Neo one, or just something to change up people's ears, like we've been talking about a lot. I think, too, the other thing about a lot of the hip hop, we were talking recently about like going back and looking at years of music, 2005, 6, all the way through like 2014 I went. And, there was way more hip hop for the radio coming out then. But what I did notice is the sound shifted a bit in like the 2012, 13, 14, where there's like 65 BPM, a lot of hi-hats, and like the trap style sort of started. And if you go listen to a lot of the hip hop that comes out now, it sounds exactly the same. And I think people are just bored of it. It's been 10 years of the same style of 65 to 70 BPM hip hop with a lot of hi-hats and like, quote unquote, the trap hip hop. It's like, we need something new. And I think that's also why the Jersey Club has kind of been hitting a bit more, because it's something different from what hip hop artists have been doing and producers have been doing for 10 years.
Yeah, the lack of innovation in that space has been kind of disheartening, actually. I mean, you're right. It's been about 10 years, and it's tough. Like, and people are just copying what other people have done and been successful with. Jersey Club isn't anything new. It's been around forever. It's just somebody, some producer dug it out of the basement and threw it on a popular record.
Yeah, and
it became a sound here. I would love to hear, like, you and I were talking about the Jiggy era, right? Like, that didn't exist. Like, prior to that, it didn't exist.
The Jiggy era, meaning like Puff Daddy, Shiny Suits, Jermaine Dupri, Mason,
they essentially,
and all the Bad Boy crew and all that stuff.
They essentially invented that sound.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like we haven't had that guy invented that sound. Yeah.
Well, we got the females crushing it right now. That's the movement. The girls are killing it.
It's crazy. There was an article in NPR, I believe it was, and it was all about female hip hop and how it's going to.
They're putting out the best, some of the best hip hop, at least for club related stuff,
and how it's carrying hip hop. And we've talked about it now for a year.
Yeah,
over a year,
probably more than that.
It has been a while.
Let me ask you this: I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I don't know which one. It might have been Road Podcast. They were talking about Ice Spice, and they were kind of split on, does Ice Spice work outside of like tri-state New York City? For you, are you playing a lot of Ice Spice? Is it working in your sets? Even some of our DJs are like, well, it doesn't work in some of the rooms we play in New York or, outside of the city areas.
I pretty much exclusively work in the city. So like it works, it works. Now, if I take that to East Village, actually, if I take,
that's what I mean.
Played in East Village, I'm like, I don't know. Like, it depends.
I think she works no matter what. I mean, there might be some spots where the reaction isn't as big, but I just think if you play the right songs that are hot at the moment, it'll work.
I play a ton of Ice Spice.
I mean, I play all the Ice Spice.
And like, whether it's a feature, whether it's her track, whatever, like, but I play a ton of female hip hop,
right?
A ton. It's like between that and Latin, it's the predominant part of my sets. It's just what works in my ear. It's what's the best thing to play in a club that's danceable that people can sing along to.
Right. Yeah, like if I was playing a hip hop club and I was thinking about what my intro is going to be like, and I wanted to come out with a bang, I'd probably play Deli, Ice Spice Deli.
Yeah.
Or like Sexy Red or one of those big tracks. Those are the big tracks right now.
I hate Sexy Red so much.
I don't
know why.
Again, I have not been playing rooms where it's been hip hop heavy very much this summer, especially.
I don't know. I guess I have a personal vendetta against Sexy Red because I will not play any. I know they're huge tracks. I'm not playing any of them. I just can't. I couldn't take myself seriously doing it.
That's all right. A lot of that stuff, I just find that you can get in and out with hooks, and you give the crowd a taste of what they want, and like you don't have those like, I can't believe I'm playing this moment. If it's cringeworthy for you,
it is.
Hook them and out.
It's one of those situations where I'm like, I know in 3 years from now, I'm going to be like, that song is absolute. I mean, I think it's awful now. I'm going to think it's really extra awful in 3 years from now. I'm like, I can't even believe we listened to that.
It just puts a smile on my face. Some of the lyrics are really funny to me. People sing it though.
They love it. They love it. Not disrespecting them.
Oh man. All right. Are we good to wrap? I think we're good, right?
Yeah.
Couple things. First and foremost, I'm playing Forward Cleveland this weekend, which is probably my biggest show I've played. So we're keeping the momentum going. I'm real hyped about it. We'll probably talk about it on next episode, but
yeah.
I just want to throw that out there. Super hyped for that. And we have our Get Down party in the second week of the month. What's the date again, Garrett? It's the 13th?
The 13th.
September 13th, Mills Tavern. It is from 7 to 11. We're doing open decks. So if you're a local DJ and you want to come show myself, Gary, UFOso, what you got, it's a great opportunity to come, network, and get to hear. We heard some really, really dope DJs last time. I couldn't believe how good some of the sets were, to a point where we were like instantly started using those DJs with some open gigs we had.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. The first event was amazing. So if you guys are interested, again, September 13th, Wednesday, 7 p.m., Mills Tavern, Hoboken, New Jersey.
If you can't make it out, but you still want to hear the music and see the music being performed and DJ'd, we'll have it live broadcasted on our YouTube page, which is just Get Down DJ Group. Check it out there. Follow us over there. Subscribe, like, all that good stuff. And so we get a little momentum going on that page. If you guys are just listeners to the podcast, all of our podcasts are broadcast on there as well as in a video form. So yeah, like I said, go like and subscribe over on our YouTube page.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening to this episode. We'll talk to you guys soon.
All right, guys. Peace.
Peace. Thanks for listening to the Get Down podcast. If you enjoy our show and find the topics entertaining or helpful in any way, we would greatly appreciate if you could subscribe, rate, and review our podcast wherever you listen to it. We want to help more DJs, and subscribing, rating, and reviewing the show is the best way for us to do that. We appreciate all the love so far. Thanks for listening, guys.